A very good morning to all the students of class 12th political science, and students, welcome back to the online classes here. As students, we were having the regular classes and we had started with the first part of political science, that is contemporary world politics, and we had finished the first chapter. And in your class we had started the second chapter, but because of the government's order now we will not be able to have the regular classes, so we'll continue with our syllabus in this mode of online classes. And today I shall be taking this chapter, that is the end of the bipolarity. Again, I would say, as I have already explained you this, but again I want to start with the from the beginning of the chapter. So I will be reading out this overview, which I have already done in the class, but again I want to revise it so that you can relate this topic with the rest of the chapter. I don't want to start the chapter from the middle. Okay, so let's begin this. As I told you in the very beginning, let's understand the meaning of the term the end of bipolarity. The term has been given the end of bipolarity. Bipolar means after the Second World War our world was living in a bipolar world where there were two superpowers, that was US and USSR. That all we had done. But now here we are studying the end. How did one of the superpower collapsed and disintegrated? That is why we are saying end of bipolarity. That is, we will be studying about disintegration of USSR. That is, we will be reading various factors, causes and consequences of the disintegration of USSR in this particular chapter. That is why we are telling this as the end of bipolarity. It means when USSR disintegrated in 1991, after that the world was living in a unipolar world which was dominated politically, socially and economically by US. So after that it became unipolar. Okay, so if you see this overview, the Berlin Wall, as I told you, this Berlin Wall was established and constructed in 1961, and it was 150 kilometers long wall. So this was the distance in terms of kilometer of that particular wall. So the Berlin Wall is important when we talk about the Cold War, and it had a strict division between the capitalist world and the socialist world. So we'll read this. The Berlin Wall, which had been built at the height of the Cold War and was its greatest symbol. So whenever we talk about the Cold War, it is one of the biggest symbol of the Cold War, which was toppled by the people in 1989. Toppled means it was broken by, it was various holes and it was broken down by the people in 1989. So you have to remember this date, which becomes very important for you. One mark questions are always there where they can ask you the dates. So this date becomes important. 1989, it was broken down. This dramatic event was followed by an equally dramatic and historic chain of events that led to the collapse of Second World and the end of the Cold War. So now you have to understand the terms. When this wall was broken in 9 November 1989, after that many of the incidents were followed after this incident of breaking of the wall. And because of those dramatic incidents, and there was a continuous chain of different incidents going around, there was a collapse of Second World. As I have already explained you, Second World countries means the alliance of USSR, that is the Eastern Europe along with Russia, that was called the Second World countries. Those followed the ideology of socialism. So there was a collapse of Second World or the end of the Cold War. Of course, when one of the superpower disintegrated and only one power was left, it means there was the end of Cold War. So there was the end of 1991. You have to remember this date. USSR disintegrated in 1991. When USSR disintegrated, that it means, it's the symbolic meaning is that was the end of the Cold War, as well as can say that Second World also ended. Germany Germany divided after the Second World War was unified. Now, why we are using the term Germany when we are telling about Berlin? Berlin is the capital of Germany. So Germany was divided because of this Berlin Wall, and but once USSR disintegrated and this wall was broken, it means Germany divided after Second World War now was unified. This wall was removed now, and the whole of the Germany was unified, became as one. Previously, if this was Germany, uh, this wall was drawn here, this was the Berlin Wall. But after disintegration of USSR or during the 1989 period, this chain was, or this wall was broken down by the people. It means West Germany and East Germany, both these parts became unified. One after another, the 8 Eastern European countries that were a part of Soviet bloc replaced their communist governments. Now they are saying as 8 countries of Europe, East Europe, if you talk about East Europe, 8 countries of the European countries were a part of Soviet bloc, and all these countries replaced their communist government with the capitalist government in response to mass demonstration. It means in these countries mass demonstrations were going on where people wanted to change their communist governments with capitalist form of ideology. So one by one, each of these 8 East European countries replaced this communist government with the capitalist system. This you can see it and understand with the help of atlas. You must have an atlas also, students. So this was Russia, that is part of USSR. This Central Asia was also the ally of USSR, and this is European continent. If you see, this is Europe, and Europe was divided here. This is Germany, and here, the wall was drawn here, Berlin Wall. The western part was a part of the US alliance, and the eastern part was the alliance of USSR. So you can see the countries like here Poland, Belarus, okay, and Ukraine. So these were the countries, 8 countries, which changed their ideology from communist government to capitalist government, which was followed by the US and their allies. So these Western European countries were the allies of US. So if you see the whole map here, you will find this is US. Okay. One of the important thing you can see here, this the Soviet Union stood by and Cold War began to end by not by military means but as a result of mass action by ordinary men and the women. Here we are saying as USSR disintegrated and it was stood at a place, the reason for that was not any military attack or the external forces. There was no military attack or there was no dominance from the outside power. The weakness was within USSR internal system. So because of its internal weaknesses, it disintegrated. That is why it has written here, the Soviet Union stood by as the Cold War began to end. As Cold War was ending, not by military means, there was no military attack on USSR, but because of the result of mass action by ordinary men and women, where people, common people, men and women both, started protesting and showing the demonstration against the communist government. Eventually, the Soviet Union itself disintegrated, and so slowly and gradually, with passage of time, this system of Soviet Union disintegrated. Disintegrated means collapsed. In this chapter, so basically in this chapter, we'll try to discuss the meaning. We'll understand the meaning of Soviet Union, how it was formed, how it was established. Then we will read various factors which were responsible for the disintegration of USSR, and we will also see some of the important consequences which we see in the USSR after it got disintegrated. Okay, that is we are going to study about this how second world countries disintegrated. Okay, what were the factors, what were the reasons, and what were the consequences of this disintegration. We'll also discuss about what happens to that part of the world after the collapse of communist regime and how India relates. As I told you, in the end of every chapter, we shall relate the topic with India and relevance of India. Okay, so how India participated in it. So we'll see how India relates to these countries now. So we'll try and see how the India has the foreign relations with these countries which once was a part of USSR, including the 8 countries of Europe and rest of the Russia and the USSR. So now this information has been given in the very first page under the some of the pictures, and these pictures are showing you the walls. That is a Berlin Wall. As distance, I told you, this is a 150 kilometers long wall, and there are people trying to break down this wall now. Various holes were made on this wall, and the date we'll see here, some data which you should remember from the point of view of 1 mark question. This can be important for you. The Berlin Wall symbolizes a division between. So when we have to show a symbol, what was the symbolic meaning of this Berlin Wall? It means it showed the division between the capitalist and the communist world. So and this wall was really very important, which during the Cold War showed that there was a division between the world, which was divided into 2 parts, East and Western alliances. So one showed the capitalist world and other side showed the communist world. This was built in 1961 to separate East Berlin, as I have shown you the example here also. This wall divided the world as well as East Berlin and West Berlin. This more than 150-kilometer long wall stood for 28 years. Now you have to remember, this wall was for 150 kilometers and this stood for 28 years and was finally broken by the people. People started breaking this wall on 9th November 1989. You have to remember this date. This marked the unification of two parts of Germany. It means when this wall was broken, so both the parts of Germany, that is East Germany and West Germany, they unified, they became merged, they merged with each other, as there was a strict division previously during the Cold War because of this wall. Western part followed the ideology of capitalism. Eastern Germany followed the ideology of socialism, as it was the allies or a part of USSR. Okay, so this was all importance of Berlin Wall. So you need to understand this first page very properly, and so there is some important data as well. So the very first question which has been put forward to this chapter after reading the introduction part, the review, which was very important for you to understand this chapter, the question has been put, what was the Soviet system? Okay, we are using the term again and again, USSR, and we have also studied it in the first chapter, that was Cold War era. But here we'll see how it got established finally. Okay, so what was the Soviet system? Whenever I'm saying Soviet system, it means we are talking about the USSR, or the countries or the union of countries which was following the ideology of socialism and communalism during the Cold War. That is, this group was one of the two superpowers. So the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, as you know, the full name you must know. There can be a 1 mark question. What do you understand by USSR? So the Union of Soviet, it was a union, a group of countries or republics which were following the ideology of socialism. So they were called USSR. It came into being after the socialist revolution in Russia. There was a strong revolution in Russia in 1917 that was called the Socialist Revolution. Why Socialist Revolution? Because this revolution was inspired by the idea of socialism. So when there was a revolution, this idea was totally based on the idea of socialism, where people supported the idea of socialism as the best way of political, social and economic life of the people, as opposed to the capitalism. So against the capitalism, they wanted to follow the ideology of socialism. So this started in Russia in 1917 and it lasted for 1924. One of the important leader of this was Vladimir Lenin. Okay, so you must know this person. It has been an important personality when we are studying about Russian Revolution, and this you have studied in class 9th in history. There was a complete chapter on this. This was perhaps the biggest attempt in human history to abolish institution of private property and consciously design a society based on principle of equality. So in the past, before 1917, no attempts were made in the history where a particular government or a particular administration had tried to abolish the institution which was based on private property. It means there was no private ownership. Okay, and it was all abolished, and the society was planned on the basic idea of equality, where there was no discrimination on the basis of their caste, color, language, religion, or place of birth, etc. So they wanted to construct a society which was based on equality in all terms, okay, irrespective of their caste, color, language, etc. In doing so, the makers of the Soviet system gave primacy to the state and the institution of party. So here the point and the content which you have to remember is that when we talk about the Soviet Union, there was a single political system or a single political party, and that party was Communist Party. So there was no opposition at all, and it was not even allowed. They were not able to allow, and they did not allow any other political party to establish. Like it's written here, no other political parties or opposition was allowed. It means there was a single party, Communist Party, which acted like a dictator. All the political, social and economic life and various actions, schemes, that all were under the control of the government. It means the Communist Party. Okay, so the most important primacy and importance and power and authority was in the hands of the Communist Party itself. So even the economy was planned and controlled by the state. The term state here means the government. Okay, the government of USSR. And which party was the major part of it? Was the Communist Party, as the opposition was not allowed at all. So now here, to understand this thing again, you will have to keep the map in mind, as I have various time have shown you in the class also, the complete division of these two alliances around the world. So after the Second World War, that is after 1945, what happened? After the Second World War, the East European country, the eastern part of the Europe, which was the ally of USSR, that Soviet army had liberated from fascist forces. These 8 countries of Europe, they were liberated, and they got freedom from the fascist forces of Germany and Britain, etc. Under the control of USSR. The USSR helped these 8 East European countries to get freedom from the power and control of of the Germany and other fascist forces of the West Germany. The political and economic system of all these countries were modeled after the USSR. So now, since USSR helped these countries to get freedom and liberated from the control of fascist forces, so ultimately these 8 countries became the part of USSR, and their economy was also based on the model of USSR. That is, they started following socialism and communalism. This group of countries was called the Second World. So this group of countries were called the Second World. So whenever I have also shown you in the first chapter, the First World countries were the countries which were the allies of US, and the Second World countries were the countries which were the allies of USSR. And also First World countries followed the ideology of capitalism, whereas the Second World countries followed the ideology of socialism and communalism. So the Second World countries, or it was also called the Socialist Bloc, because it was a group where all these countries followed the ideology of socialism. And the military alliance which guarded them and protected them and saw and believed that they should be united, the Warsaw Pact. This also we have read already. It was a military alliance, held them together. The USSR was the leader of the bloc. So the USSR was the leader of the whole Soviet system. The Soviet Union became a great power after the Second World War. So now there is a question in the class also I had discussed, that there can be a direct question, how Soviet Union became a great power after the Second World War. So you will have to give various important points for that. Okay, so we'll try and see that. So it's written here. The Soviet economy then was more developed than the rest of the world except US. So the economy of the Soviet Union was growing very fast. It was at number 2. Only US was the country or the alliance which was having a better economy than Soviet Union. Anyways, it was also having a very good economy. It has a complex communication network. In the map I had already shown you. Again, I will show you in the map. From this map, you will be able to understand why Soviet Union became a great power after the Second World War. As this half, I'm drawing a line, part was a part of USSR, and this Russia, all Kazakhstan, this Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan. So these were all Central Asian countries were also a part of USSR. So if in terms of land, this is the biggest continent, I would say, and the biggest part of the world. So this was a very big alliance. So when it comes to how it became a superpower, its economy was growing. Why its economy was growing? It had a complex communication network. It means the communication between this part to this part, this part to this part, communication was very strong. Major relevance and importance was given to the communication system in USSR. There was, and the other reason is vast energy resources. See, if there is this, it is having such a large area, and if it is having such a large geographical area, it means there will be different conditions prevailing on the different lands. Some or the other natural resources will be available in this part, or this part, somewhere in these East European countries as well, Central Asian countries as well, as you know about petrol over here. So this was also one of the important reason, that it has vast geographical area, because of which it could have easily access to various energy resources like oil, iron, steel, other resources, minerals. So it had everything because of a large land area it had. Okay, then also they used to construct various machinery productions here, and their transport system was very strong. It means the remotest areas, the areas at the remote places, all were connected by road and highways, or somehow by the seaways also. So it had a very strong communication as well as transport sector, which connected each and every part of USSR and its alliance with each other. So it means it had a complex communications network. It had vast energy resources, including oil, iron, and steel. It had machinery production. They were constructing and producing their own machines to produce various goods and services. And transport system was very strong, as I have told you, and it connected remotest areas with efficiency. It had a domestic consumer industry. Now, what do you understand by domestic consumer industry? These are the industries which produce the goods of daily use which we require at our homes. That is why a word has been given, domestic consumer, that produces everything. So these industries produced everything which we require at home, from pins to car. Whatever you require at your home for your personal use, everything was produced within the territory of USSR. It means it was not dependent on imports of such goods, which helped its economy to grow, though their quality did not match of the Western capitalist countries. So if we talk about these domestic products which was produced within the USSR, its quality did not match with the capitalist countries or the countries of the Western Alliance. The Soviet state ensured a minimum standard of living for all citizens. The Soviet, another important characteristics is Soviet system always ensured that there was a minimum standard of living for all citizens, where they looked after that every people got the job, everyone was employed, everyone got the food access, everyone had the good health facilities, child health care facilities. These were some of the things which were looked by the Soviet Union to maintain the minimum standard of living of all its citizens. Government had subsidized, given subsidies for some of the basic amenities or importance like health, education, childcare, and other welfare schemes. There was no unemployment, and the one of the important thing, there was no unemployment in USSR. Everyone was employed somehow. State ownership was dominant form of ownership. As I told you, state means here communist government was running everything. The entire power and authority was in the hands of Communist Party. So all the ownership of the land and other productive assets all were under the control of the state government. It means there was no private ownership. The profit was equally divided amongst the citizens, among the workers, according to their needs. So these with this we come to the end of this particular topic. From the next paragraph we have to start the other factor. Here we will be discussing about the Soviet system, how Soviet system became weak, how because of the bureaucratic and authoritarian nature of the state and people in authority led to the disintegration of USSR slowly and gradually. So but for today you have to read this much only. You have to read the complete introduction part, that was a review, and you have to understand this question, what was the Soviet system. Okay, so you need to understand this, what was the Soviet system. You need to learn all the important details. You have to learn about this Vladimir Lenin, as he was the important element when we talk about the establishment of USSR following ideology of socialism and communalism. So this would be enough, and I will be giving you questions out of this topic only, and you need to do those questions and submit it on the given submission date, and also keep writing these answers only in your political science notebook. It can be called in the school anytime for checking as well. Till then you have to keep studying. We will be taking online classes till the further orders of the state. Thank you so much.